Good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome to week number 7. All right, so this is an important week as far as British literature and British history, so to speak, and really to world history, because this week we're going to actually look at the Industrial Revolution. Um, I know in the syllabus for some reason I put the Brownings first and then I put the Industrial Revolution second. I'd like for you to reverse that order and read the industrialism stuff first, and that includes the Macaulay and the uh, Children's Commission readings. And then, after that, go backwards and go back to the Brownings. And here's why I want you to do that. Elizabeth Barrett Browning's poem, Cry of the Children, is actually a response to that Children's Employment Commission report that I've got listed in the syllabus. So you should read the report first, then go back in and read Elizabeth Barrett Browning's Cry of the Children. Why is the Industrial Revolution so important? Everything that has to do with commerce and business today has its roots in the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution really kind of started around the early 1800s, maybe even the late 1700s, but really the early 1800s. And by the time we get to the middle of the 1800s, so about a 50-year time period, the whole country of England is covered up with factories and railroads. And that's an important thing because we still rely upon the consumer culture today. We still rely upon manufacturing jobs to gauge the health of a country. So when the United States loses manufacturing jobs, the economists say that we're not as healthy as we should be. Whereas if somebody opens a factory in the United States and creates about 500 jobs, then we say that we have a healthy economy. So that all started with the Industrial Revolution, and it was a perfect storm that caused it. And so go through the reading and also go through my slideshow on industrialism and take a look at what caused this Industrial Revolution to start. Why people were reliant upon jobs in factories instead of relying on working on the farm and growing their own food and building their own furniture and making their own clothes. It would be a complete change that nobody had ever seen before that would continue on until today. The Industrial Revolution was called a revolution because it was bloody. A lot of people lost their lives in the conflict between capitalists and their workers. And there were people who said that capitalism would ruin the world. And you're going to see some of that in these readings, but most notably Karl Marx and his friend Frederick Engels were the most well-known of the anti-capitalists. And some people today still say that perhaps Marx and Engels were right. But the flip side to all of that is that, even with all the pain that it caused and all the deaths that it caused and all the hardships that it caused for those that were actually working for wages, without the Industrial Revolution, we'd have to make our own clothes today. We'd have to grow our own food. We wouldn't have iPhones and expensive tennis shoes and all that stuff that we enjoy today. So the end result is that we maybe have a more comfortable life today because of the Industrial Revolution. But let's not forget that some people, many people, I'm talking millions of people, pay a very heavy price for the comfort of us that are living in industrialized nations like England and the United States today. The other Browning that I want you to look at is Robert Browning. And so what that means is I'm going to have you do 2 postings this week. Robert Browning, look at the slideshow, because this poem that I've got you reading, The Last Duchess, may be a little confusing at first. So if you understand what he's writing in is something called a dramatic monologue, then it becomes easier to understand that what we are seeing in this dramatic monologue is one half of a conversation between a man who is trying to get a wife and the agent who's trying to set it up between the wife and the wife's father and the husband to be. And what they are looking at is a painting of the single man's first wife, because it turns out that his first wife died at a very young age, and so he's looking for a new wife to replace her. And take a look at what he says. Take a look at his personality based upon the fact that this is my duchess. I am a duke. I am the ruler of this castle. And my wife had better not, flirt. My wife had better not have a roving eye. My wife had better not be too easily pleased by little gifts from, the peons, when I have an 800-year-old name that I am going to give to this wife whenever I marry her. And of course, he mentions a couple times, well, we can discuss price as well. What he's talking about there is the dowry that the woman's father would give to him in exchange for marrying her into his family. So think about the dramatic monologue, and think about the position of the narrator in My Last Duchess, who is a duke who is probably broke and who is a great art collector. He's going to make references to his art collection. And these are all fictional artists that he's talking about, but he's going to make references to his art collection throughout. So one of your posting questions, once I post it, which probably won't be till later on Monday, will be about the Industrial Revolution and the Cry of the Children. Oh, I haven't even talked about Cry of the Children yet. I'll do that in a moment. And the second question will be about the dramatic monologue. Cry of the Children. Why did I choose this of all the Elizabeth Barrett Browning poems? There's a reason. This poem actually caused change. I said earlier in this video that Cry of the Children was inspired by the Children's Labor Commission report. And what the Children's Labor Commission found was they went down into the mines and they went into the factories and saw how children were being worked by their employers, and saw how the working conditions were just absolutely horrifying. Like in the report, you're going to see that the mines were so dark and the children were so dirty from the mud they were working in that the people in the commission could not tell whether the children were male or female. I mean, it was really that bad. And these children were going to work in these conditions 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, just to get the coal that was necessary, because coal was necessary to fuel industrialism. Coal was needed to produce the power and to produce the energy needed to cause or to allow these factories to produce their goods. And so they would put children to work. And the children would work in the factories as well, and they would die because they would go into the machines to fix them, and then once the machine turned on, the child would get grinded up or something like that. So it was really horrifying work conditions. So remember that as you read Elizabeth Barrett Browning's Cry of the Children, because she's writing it from the point of view of the children, and things have gotten so bad that the children think that the dead kids are luckier than they are because they don't have to go to work anymore. They can be outdoors now. Now that means planted 6 feet under the ground, but still. These children were better off because of the fact that the working conditions were so bad that they'd rather die than go to work every day. Also, look at the part where the children have lost their faith in God. This is going to alarm a lot of people, because if the children lose faith at such a young age, then there's no hope for them as adults, at least in the minds of those who actually go to church and who think that a relationship with their religion is so important. So this poem, after it was written, Parliament actually said, hey, we've got to pass some child labor laws. And they weren't as stringent as they are today. Children couldn't go to work until they were 6. I mean, that's the way these laws worked back then. But that was still an improvement over before. And it was a good example of art influencing life. So that's what I want you to get out of the Elizabeth Barrett Browning posting, and should be what the posting that I'm giving you is, the posting question I'm giving you on Elizabeth Barrett Browning is going to focus on. So that's it for this week. Remember that you can always email me with questions. If you're on campus, come by and see me. My office is in F121C. I'm usually, my desk faces the door, and if I'm in there, my door's always open, and you can see me. Just look for this mug, and that's it. So have a good week. This is going to be a very enlightening week, I think, for you, and I think it'll be a very good week for you as you read these, as you read the Brownings, who were the Brad and Angelina of their day, or the Jay-Z and the Beyonce of their day. They were the power couple, the celebrity power couple of their day. And this week, you get to actually read their work. So with that, on that note, have a great week, and we'll see you soon.